You are all welcome. You are all welcome. We want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. And I want to call on Dr. Luadere for the opening remark.
Thank you, Dr. Chika. Thank you very much for the brief remark about this webinar. The Vice Chancellor and the Chief Host, Professor J.O. Ogunwole, the University Management Team, the Dean of the Faculty of Physical Sciences, Professor C.O. Akintayo, whom I have the honor to represent because he is unavoidably absent. Our distinguished resource person, Dr. Olariwaju Victor Johnson, esteemed professors in the faculty and across the university, colleagues, students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day to you all. On behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Physical Sciences, Professor C.O. Akintayo, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you to this webinar on ChatGPT to NotebookLM, responsible AI use and academic integrity in research. As we all know, artificial intelligence has come to stay, and as academics and researchers, we must adapt to this rapidly evolving technology to enhance our teaching, research, and scholarly productivity. AI tools such as ChatGPT and NotebookLM offer tremendous opportunity for innovation and efficiency. They must be used responsibly and ethically with due regards for academic integrity, originality, and transparency. This webinar is therefore timely and relevant. We are particularly delighted to have Dr. Olariwaju Victor Johnson as our resource person, and we are confident that his presentation will equip us with valuable insights into responsible and effective use of AI in academia. I sincerely appreciate our Vice Chancellor, Professor Joshua Oladeko Ogunwole, for his unwavering support for academic excellence and innovation. I also thank our resource person and every participant for taking time to be part of the important program. It is my hope that today's webinar will broaden our understanding and empower us to embrace artificial intelligence as a tool for advancing quality teaching, impactful research, and academic excellence, while upholding the highest standard of integrity. Once again, you are all welcome, and I want to wish us a fruitful and rewarding session. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, my Ebu Didi, for that opening remark. We want to continue as we call on Mr. Imam to read the citation of Dr. Olariwaju Victor Johnson, who is our guest speaker for today's webinar. Mr. Imam.
Mr. Imam, you are muted, please.
Okay, can you all see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to present the short citation of our guest speaker for today's webinar, Johnson Olariwaju Victor. Dr. Johnson Olariwaju Victor is a computer scientist and AI researcher with a PhD in computer science from University Science, Malaysia. His research interest includes optimization, imbalanced data modeling, and computer vision. His research applies AI to medical imaging, healthcare, agriculture, and industrial systems. He has strengthened his expertise through international research schools and professional training at institutions including the Galilee International Management Institute, Israel, University of Cambridge, UK, CIMPA, University of Ibadan, Nigeria, CIMPA, University of Lome, Togo, Open Geo Hub Foundation, University of Munster, Germany, ICTP, Italy, and Istanbul Aydin University, Turkey. With over 20 years of teaching and research experience, Dr. Johnson has taught and supervised across diverse computing disciplines. He has delivered invited lectures internationally, including at BINUS University, Indonesia, and has co-facilitated postgraduate course on machine learning in healthcare at University Sans Malaysia since 2024. He has led and contributed to several funded research projects supported by TED Fund, the Elsevier Foundation, and Malaysia's Fundamental Research Grant Scheme. He is the principal investigator of the 2026 TED Fund National Research Fund project on the development of a cocoa quantity assurance and trading system using multimodal artificial intelligence techniques for sustainable cocoa trading. His scholarly outputs include numerous Scopus and Web of Science Index journal articles, conference papers, and book chapters. Dr. Johnson is a member of IEEE, ACM, and the Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria, CPN. He also serves as a reviewer for reputable international journals and remains committed to research, innovation, mentorship, technology-driven capacity building. It is my pleasure at this point to virtually present to you the guest speaker, Dr. Johnson Alariwaju, for his presentation. Thank you. You have the stage, sir.
Thank you very much for the citations and the invitation. I must appreciate everyone and thank you for the time. I want to sincerely appreciate the Vice Chancellor and the Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Physical Science for this invitation. Because of my time, I also want to say shout out or hello to a friend, which I have actually known for a long time, Dr. Chika. Thank you very much also for being part of this conversation this very evening. So very quickly, because of our time, I would like to share my screen.
You can do that.
Yeah, okay. So I will share my entire screen so that I can have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation here?
Yes.
Yes, we
All
can
right. So
see your screen.
all right. So thank you very much. So very quickly, I once again I thank the Vice Chancellor and the Dean of School of Physical Science for this invitation. And this evening we actually want to look at some of the conversation that are actually going around the buzzword of research and AI altogether. But before we actually do that, I want us to lay the foundation that can actually quickly help us to understand some of the concepts that we'll be bringing up at a later time, because at a later time, we're going to be having what we call a hands-on. We're going to do a hands-on. All of us, we're going to be able to practice one or two things. And at the end of the day, we can go home and do a lot of things for ourselves after now. But before that, I want us to lay some of the basic foundation, or kind of review some of the basic foundation we already know in research that will help us to understand the nitty-gritty of what we are going to. So first and foremost, we looked at what we call the tenet of academic institution, which we all know that academic institution is actually established for a lot of things, for freedom of speech, for learning, for building character, for transgenerational person of knowledge, and for integrity, for building up young generations as much as possible. But for we as academics that are involved in this, we have our own role to play. And whenever we are given an appointment into an academic institution, we are always being told that there are three pillars of academics in the institution, which is number one, teaching, number two, research, number three, community service, which we all know. So, and the first two, which we call teaching and research, help us to actually apply all that we have learned, including our mentees, working with our mentees and all that, to be able to give back to the society in terms of imparting the society with our research, which we call applied research. So if we look quickly at the word research, therefore, which we already know also, research encompasses exploratory, experimental, survey, quantitative, or qualitative, as the case may be. So in the research, what are we actually looking for? The word research means research, search, something that has already been in existence, something that has already been studied. We are actually looking at it back again and again. We are researching it. So when we're actually looking at it, using our torchlight, using our magnetic light, using our microscope, using every form of the method we can actually use to look at it, what are we looking at? We're finding, or we're looking at the research gap. So the research gap can be any form of research gap. It can be methodology research gap. It can be claim. It can be something that you actually want to find out. It can be literature review. You want to find out what has been in existence, some of the methods that have actually been applied in each and every area of the field of the domains that we find ourselves. So the main objective in our research, therefore, or in going forward, is actually we are looking for research gap. Okay, so we have agreed with that. So let's move on to now say the current trend, therefore, is that everybody is looking at artificial intelligence. So if you go into every homes, every corner today, government, at every level, education, business, transportation, in every domain today, the words that is becoming a common, I call it an household name, is the word artificial intelligence. So a lot of us are referring to artificial intelligence today in our different domains, and it is fundamentally correct for us to know, therefore, that what is this word of artificial intelligence that is surrounding everything that we are actually doing today. Okay, so we looked at it, the word AI. What is AI by definition? So all of us can have our different forms of definition for AI. Quite agree with that. Some will say AI is a supportive system. Some will say AI is a machine that learned from data. AI is magical. Someone will just say that. AI, some will say it's a robotic system. So whichever the case may be with our definition, AI has come to stay. Okay, and we all agree that whichever definition we give to our own AI, to our own context, we are correct to our own context. Okay, but fundamentally, AI is actually designed from what we scientists, or even those of us that are also non-scientists that are also in the house, we agree with me that AI fundamentally is ability to mimic what human is known to do. Okay, is mimicking human being, is trying using machines algorithm to learn from something. Okay, so we'll get to see this in a couple of times very quickly. So applications of AI, as we have also seen, I said the other time, is the application is in diverse forms. Currently is into education. Is sorry, is my slide showing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
your slide is showing. Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. And is it also moving?
No,
not
you are
moving.
on the searching strategy.
Am I on
Searching strategy. Yes, you are on
Yes.
searching strategy.
Searching strategy. That's where you are.
Oh, my slide is it's not supposed to be there. Can we see this? Can we see now?
We are seeing it, but it's not moving. It has been on the searching strategy slide, which is like, I think number, we don't know the exact number, but it is there.
It's
Number
okay. It's
11.
not supposed to be on there.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be on start. It's not supposed to be there. So
Okay, it is now on the tenets of academic institutions.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. All right, because that is exactly what I was trying to speak to. So
Can
is
put it
it
on
here now?
so that you can be moving? Yes.
A slideshow. Is it on slide? Can you?
No.
Are we still on tenet of academics?
It's on full view, but it's showing.
Is it showing now?
It's
Yes.
showing
It's
tenets of
showing.
academic institution.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So I'm on the second slide. Artificial intelligence. Are we there now?
No.
No, we are not there yet.
Where's the internet?
Doc, can you put it on slideshow?
I put it on
Maybe that is
slideshow. I'm actually working on slideshow.
But it's not working. We are seeing it as a full view here.
Yes.
I don't know if it is from my end. Maybe you need to stop sharing and share your screen again.
All right,
If that's
let me
okay.
quickly do that. Yeah, maybe
Yes.
that what should be done. Stop sharing. Okay, so let me share again. Okay, so are we here now?
Yes.
Is it coming
It's
up?
working. Yes, yes.
Yes, it's
Perfect.
no.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
moving
so
now.
artificial intelligence, are we here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me be very fast with. So I was actually making a definition of what is artificial intelligence, and I said we have these different diverse applications area, which you all agree with me that today AI is actually affecting all this area. Oh, sorry, I want to make it this a change. Okay, so the question is that is AI the whole in all this application? Is AI the silver bullet for all these diverse areas? So the answer is quite no. But AI is part of the components that can actually be used in many of this research. AI is forming very good foundation in many of this research, and I can actually bet you because in many of these areas I've actually worked with this area very well. Okay, so the next question, therefore, which we're actually quickly going to in wrapping us in research, is that is AI all about ChatGPT, Cloud, Gemini, NotebookLM, 11 Lab, or any of the ones that we currently know? Is AI all about this? So the answer typically is no. AI is not all about ChatGPT. AI is not about Cloud, no Gemini, no NotebookLM, no 11 Lab, no any one of these things that we know. AI is just part of this. And what is the essence of the generative AI? Because I call them generative AI. What is the essence of it for us as researchers? So in the course of time, we'll quickly get to know. So let me provide a foundation. Therefore, what do we know about AI? What is the foundation of AI? How do we get to this instance of generative AI that is becoming the hinting everywhere, becoming a household name everywhere? So basically, we all agree with me that the AI that we are talking about actually stemmed off from algorithms in mathematics, statistics that actually learn from data, which we call machine learning algorithms. So our machine learning algorithms typically they are mostly derived from mathematics, derived from statistics, computer algorithms that are put together, okay, as learning algorithms. And what are they to do? They are to learn from data, dig deep from data, dig deep into data, okay, to actually see interesting pattern that we can use to talk about what is to happen in the now or in the future. So what are these kind of data that we are talking about? Because I said something very important. I said learn from data. Okay, so that means data is the cotton here. Data is the in thing. Data is the new oil. data is what we are speaking about. So if you don't have data, you don't talk about AI. So the foundation, the beginning, everything about AI that we are seeing today relies solely on data. Okay, data serve as input into our AI. You get me now that my AI that I'm talking about is the algorithm. So the algorithm learns from your data. So the data you provide for the AI gives you the output at the end of the day. All right. So what are these kind of data? Our data can be images. So when our data is images, we talk about computer vision, learning from maybe X-ray, chest X-ray, brain, magnetic resonance imaging of the brain, maybe satellite imagery. So these are the different kinds of images that can be put into data, car, belts, that we can actually use computer vision to work on. Okay. Then our data can also be numeric or categorical, which forms tabular data, maybe diabetes, something like creditworthiness. Okay. So our data can also be text, which you type, like you type your project, type your text, type your chart, or put up a chart, put up a message, all of this, and many more as much as possible. Okay. So the current trend also today allows what is called multiple data types being used together, which we call multimodal. So ability to use different types of data together. Okay, our model can also deal with that into this current trend. So what the kind of problem that we can be solved? So we can solve classification problem. I can look at various type of cars and I want to classify them into different categories, maybe lorry, I want to classify into car, saloon, something like that. I can look at different animals. I want to classify them into their different types. I want to say maybe this one is herbivorous, this one is carnivorous, this one is this and that. So we can actually do all those kind of classification. And I also want to do prediction. Prediction talking about maybe I want to do a prediction of the price of the house, or I want to do something on the height. I want to predict the weights. So something numeric. So also can do what is called clustering. So I don't have a labeled data. I want to put them into different groups. I want to cluster it, okay, into different groups. I can also do what is called optimization. That is my model. I have a model. What are the simplest parameters that can make my model to learn faster or to work faster? Okay. So in all of this, we mathematicians will do what is called we can do something like operation research. We're looking at operation research. We want to do your optimization of the operation research, whether maximization or minimization. In different fields also, we can also use what is called anti-colony genetic algorithm for different optimization. Then in control also, we use control in manufacturing. You want to see how a particular machine is working, how the different parameters can actually control the processes. And we also have what they call generation and simulation. So you can discover that I have a kind of bounding box around this. Here now I have a bounding box around the kind of data we deal with, which I said multimodal. And I'm here also, I have a generation or simulation, which I also have a bounding box around it, which I'll quickly provide an explanation about that later now. Okay, so what kind of model do we therefore can work with? Which I said, from mathematics, statistics, and different aspects of computing, we can have what is called a regression model. We can have what is called a decision model, Bayesian model, support vector machine. And if you come to some of the current trend today, we have what is called neural networks. So our neural networks are mostly our deep learning models, okay? And currently, we have transformers and language model. So what is the essence of the transformers and the language model? You know, I told us we are coming from a place of, if you look at text, we're coming from where we have our data to be images, numeric, and text, and we can have this multimodal to work together. So what is the essence of the transformers and the language model? It's the ability to be able to generate. So if I want to type, it can quickly generate for me what is the next thing that I want to type. If I put up a text and I want to expand the text, it can quickly expand the text for me. If I have 2 pages or 3 pages and I put it up and I say summarize for me, it can quickly summarize for me. If I have a particular point and I don't understand it and I said, I want you to do something for me that will make me to understand maybe a particular context, you can actually go on and do it for me. If I put up an image and I say, take this image, analyze this image for me, it can generate text that will explain the images. So you can actually see where we are coming from. So you can now see that basically the transformers and the from neural network, the transformers and the large language model, we're now having what we call today the generative AI. Okay, so you can now see that generative AI actually came up due to some other models that we call predictive models that we've actually worked upon, which we are still working upon in today's world. So generative AI is one of the aspects of our AI, and is becoming the exponential growth of it has come to stay right from, you can look at the trend, but in I think in 2020, after the COVID-19, 2021, we can see how the exponential growth went up very sporadic, and everybody is actually using it. Why are we using it? It's because it is actually can do a lot of things for us in terms of using multimodal, putting your multimodal data inside it, and it will provide your support or answers for you. So you can actually look at the word I'm saying now. I'm using the word support or provide, okay, for what you are intending to do or what you intend to know more, okay? So it provides the support for you in terms of all the things that we intend to know. So I quickly want to look at two comparative words: predictive AI, which we are coming from, and the generative AI, which we are now. So the predictive AI analyze existing data to forecast outcomes or classify information. Why generative AI, that we talk about, whether ChatGPT or Gemini, they create new content by understanding complex structures and rules. So whenever you give a prompt, whenever you provide a prompt for your data input, still very well known that we are actually providing input. We are providing data, okay? We are providing data as our input. We must provide data as our input. Let's get to know that very well. So the data we provide as our input is what the generative AI will use to provide responses for us. And I said the mechanisms depends on, for predictive AI, we have statistical, supervised machine learning, clustering. Why on the generative AI, we have the transformers basically. And the output in the predictive is for classification, prediction. Why here is to provide more text code, imagery, or synthesized summaries as much as possible. All right, so let's quickly now marry research to it. Now, in research, as a researcher, we need to be very, very careful and take cognizance of what we do as researchers. Because when you look at even the ChatGPT or any of these generative AI, you agree with me that they actually train on data. So that's why I'm going to. Every model, every AI model is trained on data. Okay, so in terms of the generative AI now, we are not the one that actually train them. You can design a model and you train your model with your own data. But generative AI, you are not the one that actually train them. It is those developers that are actually, they train the model based on the data that is available to them. So we input our input into this generative AI to give us output. So if we are not careful about the inputs we are giving to the AI, because as much as possible we give input to the AI is still learning from the input we provide into the AI to give us output. So you cannot say therefore that by the time you give input to the AI, if you're not careful, you discover that you have a lot of hallucination or systematic bias that you have. Okay, so we'll quickly go forward to look at a lot of anatomy of misconduct of researchers in terms of using AI. Okay, so number one is data acquisition issue. Failure in how information is gathered, recorded, and mathematically represented. So as researchers, we must be very careful. We must be able to validate the information we are supplying to the AI, the information we are whether mathematical, whether experiments that we are supplying, whether result we are supplying to the AI. We must validate some certain things that we are supplying to AI before supplying it, because when you supply wrong information or wrong data into your AI will quickly do something on it, but it has actually learned wrong thing from what you are supplying if you are not supplying the right correct thing, and to consistently use that in the current in future trends as much as possible. So number two is conduct of experiment issues. Failure in how human and animal subjects are treated during the research process. Many people will say they perform experiment. At the end of the day, they did not actually do the experiment, and they will just go with extrapolation or interpolation of results and go and give it to the AI and say, AI, interpret for me as much as possible. AI will still go on and do that, but the result you're going to be getting is going to be it's not going to be validated as much as possible. So what are the data acquisition or malpractices that we have that is surrounding us as researchers? Number one is data salami slicing, breaking single study into multiple papers to inflate counts. That's number one. Number two, cherry picking. Cherry picking is selecting only data that supports the hypothesis And this is very, very common. You want, when you're making an hypothesis, you just want to say my hypothesis is correct. It's correct. Why not the other way around? Why not, if you are looking for non-hypothesis, why not the alternative? So it's not every time when you're putting up hypothesis that the hypothesis must even be supporting. Why not if it's not supporting? That is the essence of even the research. Okay. So the next one is running analysis until result becomes statistically significant. That's another thing. So you are just running the experiment, removing sin until you see that it is the p-value is maybe less than 0.05. Why not the other way around? Because that is the essence of what you are actually discovering something from your research. So it's not every time that it not actually supports what you're actually saying. Okay. Then the next one is fabrication. This is the area I want us to be very, very careful. If you fabricate data, you give it to ChatGPT, you are making ChatGPT to actually learn wrongly. We are making it, let me just include myself now also, that if we fabricate data, because many of us do that, I do it, by the time I run my experiment, I want to say, ChatGPT, I want it to validate or cross-check this result for me. I want it to critique it. Okay, so if I don't run my experiment and I decided to fabricate my data and give it to ChatGPT for interpretation, it will still actually do that. So that is another misconception or malpractices that we find around academics as much as possible. Falsification. This is another one that manipulating or omitting data to misrepresent work. We should guide against that as much as possible. Why am I saying all this? Why am I saying all this as integrity? Because integrity is the algorithm. Now, we are the man in the loop. When I say man in the loop now, we are the ones supplying the data for the AI. The AI already has the algorithm. The AI has already been trained and is consistently being trained on the data that we supply. AI has not all the generative, because I'm using the word AI now also. Okay, so all the generative AI that we are using, they have not stopped learning. They have not stopped being trained. They are consistently being trained. So it now matters the kind of data we supply into our AI to provide us with result. Or it also depends on how we brainstorm or how we relate with our AI to get a very good or verifiable results. Whichever one that we are actually using, they always put a disclaimer that whatever you put up here, there's always a mistake. You can go and validate. So it is very imperative for us to do that. Okay, so human conduct violation, which we have a lack of informed consent, breach of confidentiality, coercion, harms to subjects, conflict of interest. These are some of the violations that we must avoid when we're using our generative ML. So I will quickly transfer from here now. If I don't know whether we have any questions, so that I can quickly go into the hands-on and show us a kind of symbiotic relationship that we can actually do between ChatGPT and NotebookLM. And I'll also tell us why the two of them are a little bit different in terms of what we researcher can actually use or actually doing with the two of them as much as possible. So very quickly, if you have a question before I switch to that, thank you.
If you have a question, please, you can raise up your hand. Let's harvest your question.
So is there any question? So if not, I can quickly proceed to the hands-on now.
Continue. Okay.
All right. So, all right. So, just as of
hello, sir. Please, I have a question.
All right.
Yes. Before you go into the lecture, you define research in a layman language that is basically, the concept is basically going back to what has been already been in existence. I think that's basically how you define that research is basically we going back. So I now said, what in a case whereby we have a fresh idea, a fresh concept entirely, because we've seen people with new ideas that when they bring out those ideas, it will be very, very difficult to find it that same idea has been implemented somewhere. So I said, in that kind of regard, can we still say it is working on work that have been in existence before? So that's my question.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much for that beautiful question. I like that intrusive question. If you permit me to say something, there's a particular word in some biblical injunctions. It said, "Nothing is new under the sun." All right. So whatever fresh idea you are having, the idea is to improve on what is existing. So agree with me that there's nothing anybody, even in current world today, the generative AI that we are talking about, I just gave us a kind of trend now to show us where generative AI is coming. So whatever fresh idea you are having, it is to improve on the existing. You will just find a basis. You will find something that has been existing. So there's nothing that exists in silo. Something must be there, even if it is one or two, that your idea can work on. So when your idea is now working on that, maybe more than before, you cannot call your own novel approach or novel idea. That is where the novelty will come from. So, but there's nothing that exists in silo as much as possible.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So very quickly, so you can also see my screen. I'm on the browser. Can you also see my browser?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. So thank you very much. And I'm just type NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is actually designed by Google, which we all know. Google is one of the forefront tech company that is.
I can't see the screen, please.
Oh, you can see my screen?
We are seeing the screen.
see.
We can see the screen. Possibly your network, please.
You can see the
Okay.
screen from here.
I can
Alright.
see it now. I can see
All
it
right,
now.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, man.
you.
All right, so it's actually designed by Google. They call it. It was actually when it was launched, it was called NotebookLM, and presently now, just the update recent before even this webinar came up, I just got today that maybe yesterday or the day before yesterday that they've actually also christened the name again to Gemini Notebook. So, but it's still NotebookLM because the word NotebookLM actually came from Google, and Google owns a lot of products that we are even all using in education as much as possible. So currently, they are now calling it Gemini Notebook. All right, all right. So I would switch to my ChatGPT. So in the ChatGPT, as much as possible, we all know this environment. The environment allows us to provide charts, provide prompts, and receive answers as much as possible. All right. But here now, practically, this ChatGPT is actually trained on data that we don't know. We don't know the source. We don't know who provided the data. We don't know how much data it's actually been trained with. But we know that it can actually provide different answers as much as possible. So for those of us that will use it, I like to somehow sort of to create a project. So I can come over here and create a new project so that I can try to make my work to be organized. So I can create a project and call it maybe which word can I use? Antimicrobial. Microbia. So if I call it this project, so it quickly creates the project for me. So it quickly creates. So under this project, I can now be having my chart. So my chart can be organized under one project as much as possible. Okay. So we all use this. So how do we use it? You provide your prompts. So later on, I'm still going to show us some strategy about prompt engineering or conversational engineering, because sometimes we just say summarize something for me or provide something for me. Now, those things are just like you are asking a layman question from what has been trained extensively. Now, our conversational engineering or prompt engineering allows us to talk to the generative AI as if we are relating with a partner or we are relating with our network of friends that we are doing a kind of conversation. Okay, so I'm going to show us some prompts that will allow us to do that. But why I'm showing us ChatGPT now is that ChatGPT has been trained on data that is not known to us, elaborately on different things entirely. Okay, so let's go to, and they are very, very useful. Let's go to Gemini. Gemini now, notebook, what is the essence and how is the difference? So let's go and try it out. Okay, so I'm already using that. So you will see a lot of things that I've done. So you will see this screen that is called like all the works, like you are using, you have in a class different subject, and you are using different books for the different subjects. So it will create you a notebook. So just like in a secondary school, we're having biology, physics, mathematics, and you are using different notebooks for these different subjects. That is exactly the idea. Okay, so when you want to work on a particular project, it will give you an environment like this. And the next thing to do is to click on create a new notebook. So for you to have it, you already know that you must have a Gmail. So that's the first instance. So you must have a Gmail. You log on to your Gmail. So when you have your Gmail, you already have a couple of Google applications. So if I click on create a new notebook, so the first thing to note from here is quickly that the NotebookLM allows you to provide your own sources. That is the distinguishing factor. That is the line, demarcation line, as much as possible. It allows you to provide your own source. The source you want to use to do your own research, your own conversation, your own training. So it allows you to provide that sources. So the sources are so many, as much as possible. It will be interesting that the NotebookLM or the Gemini LM, let me stick with one, the Gemini LM is also working on, it also has an app on the phone. So you can also use it on the phone. So the essence of using it on the phone, we get to it in a couple of minutes. So first and foremost, you will discover that we have sources that can be sourced from the web. You can source your information from the web. You can source from your drive, your Google Drive. Let's say you have been keeping your documents, all the documents of your research. You'll be keeping them in your Google Drive. You can actually search from the Google Drive and synchronize. Okay. You can also do a deep search. All right. You can also go forward and upload your files, which would perform now. Your files, including the PDF files of maybe all the publications, the journal papers that you have downloaded in that research topic you're undergoing. So you can actually download. You have downloaded all your papers. You can upload all the papers in PDF here. Let's say you have a particular link. Maybe you have a link, a web link, and you know them that they are credible. Let's say you are doing something on, let's say on drug discovery now, that you know that World Health Organization is very, very credible in terms of their research. Now, if you do something on there, let's say drug discovery, drug discovery, So if I go here and I looked at maybe drug discovery, let me just pick something here as a link. So, but if you have discovered that, okay, so this is a link now, and I discovered that this link is a valid link, I can actually also use it here, which will perform in the next couple of minutes. Now, the drive, I've said we can actually have a link of our drive from a Google Drive. Then you can also copy text. Let's say you have a note you have compiled before. You can copy the text and paste it. Also here in the uploading of the file, let's say you are a student, or we also researchers. You attended a lecture and you recorded the voice of the conversation of the lecture, maybe from the lecturer or from the presenter. You actually put off your phone to record the voice. You can also upload the voice notes. The voice notes, you can also upload it in the upload file. Likewise here in this link also, you can also upload a YouTube link. Let's say you discover that there's a particular YouTube link that does a lot of training, and what they are providing is credible. You can also include all of them as much as possible here. Now I'll close this screen quickly to explain the rest of the screen. I'll still come back to it. So on the left-hand panel here, you provide your own sources. It's just like acting as your mini library for you. Okay? And when you provide this for this particular notebook, that does not mean that when you are doing another one, you also do your own library. So it helps you to create a lot of things for yourself. Okay, so in the middle here, this is where you have the conversation. This is where you can begin to do your conversation, like you are talking to somebody and you are doing a lot of conversation and it's providing the answer. And on the right-hand side here, you see the different studio, the different application we have. The different application that includes, we can generate audio file of all your conversation for you to hear it. You can also do what is called reports, slide, infographics, mind research, and a lot of things. We can also perform what is called literature matrix table comparison from this left-hand side. Okay, so very quickly, because of our time, let us go back to the sources. And I'm going to include
5 minutes more.
Oh,
5 minutes more.
So quickly, I will include here. I'll just quickly put up some notes here. Antibiotics. So I want to put in. I'm working on antibiotics and drug discovery. I just want to put like 2 or 3 up here. So the sources are coming up. So while the sources are coming up, also I can also take this link. I copy this link. I also include it as my link, so I can copy. So if you want to include many links, just press enter, include many links as possible. So I insert. So the link is also inserted now. So you can include video, and audio as much as possible. Then after you have included your sources, the next thing now is to start the conversation. So you can now say that can we brainstorm on drug resistance, antimicrobial, and the use of machine learning. So now here also, I just want to quickly say something. These all sources, now you can check and uncheck here. Now, if I check all, it's included all. And I want to just uncheck and select probably the ones I know that will speak to the conversation as much as possible. So it is important that it's not all of them that you can be using at all time, at every time. You can deselect, you can select one at a time, you can deselect, then you can also select all. So if I select all and I go on, now it will provide for me the conversation. So the conversation we are having here now is based on the sources that I've actually supplied. Now, these sources now, these are the people that I've downloaded from credible sources. Now, it's working on those sources for me, not generalized sources, not sources I don't know, not other sources that I don't know the source. So it's actually working. It's actually doing the conversation based on the sources that I've actually supplied here. I can go on and say describe steps to antimicrobial microbial study. Okay, so it will go on and also perform that as much as possible for me. Okay, now why this one is also going on. Now, when you have a source and you have read it, because what we're doing here is that you are making a conversation and you're also following the conversation. Now, if you read anything up here quickly, like a summary, you can discover that it will help you to form your next part of question. Now, if you agree with it, you can turn this to also a source. Okay, you can actually save it as a note. So if you save it as a note, you can save it as a note. So when you save it as a note, it comes to the right hand side. Now, when you save it as a note, you can convert that same note back to your source. Now, when you convert back to your source, it comes back to the source to form part of what is going to be using to provide adequate answer for you as we continue with the conversation. All right, so you can see that it provided me all the steps based on what is in the sources that we are provided. You can also go on and say, can we perform comparative analysis of the study provided, or of the papers, of the publications provided to finding a gap, to finding a research gap. Okay, so it's going on again and do that as much as possible. Okay, so while he's trying to do that, because of my time, I want to quickly, now here we can actually perform, we can come over here, which I would, okay, so he's trying to do that and he's giving us a lot of answers. So you can now see that he's doing a lot of, can you see now, it performs the comparative analysis from all the study. So instead of you sitting down to read all the studies and you are looking at comparative analysis between all your papers, this in a minute has actually read all through the paper and provided comparison between all the publications that we have here and gave us, so you can actually look at it to find gap. So you can now see it, a gap, it's giving us a gap, it's giving us a gap in each of the journals paper that we have actually uploaded. Okay, all right, because of my time, I would I would quickly come over here and show us something for literature review. Now here, now you can say provide. Okay, because I can just leave it and just run it because of my time, so that I just want to quickly say something. Now the research mind gap, you can also provide a prompt to provide mind mapping. Mind mapping will show like a graph of all the topical activities that can be performed on the research. Just like you are looking at your literature review and looking at step by step. Okay, it's already out, so I can actually view it for us to see. Okay, so can you actually see that? Can we see that now? So on this here now, we can click on this. It will provide us more information. You can click on this. It will provide more information. You can zoom in, zoom out. So it will provide more information. Sorry. Okay. I'm trying to move it. So as you go on, it provides information. So this can actually guide. So this can actually guide our. It can actually guide the way we do our literature review. So it can actually help us to do much of our literature review, the steps we're going to take in writing our literature review as much as possible. And after you are done, you can also copy this. After you have done with going around it, you can right click. Sorry, let me get to it. So you can click on, you can actually download it, you can share it, you can download the content as much as possible, and you can also work on it to edit it. All right. So okay, so let me show us something here. Just want to show us something here. Okay, so I actually finished up a paper. This is a paper that I actually finished. I've actually completed the paper and all that. So I've worked on the paper and I want to generate a PowerPoint for the paper. I actually worked with NotebookLM with this research, and I did all the paper myself, and I finished the paper, and I brought back the paper. Because of my time, I said it should generate the PowerPoint for me. So this is the prompt I use for the PowerPoint. You can see my prompt now. So I talk about the prompting. So the prompting is very, very important. And I said it should, from the second page, it should outline for me the third page. I just provided what it should do. And before I know it, a slide came out that is more robust, more presentable. So you can see the slide. So it provided a slide for me. And in each of these slides, one of the things that is also latest about it is that you can actually, when it provided a slide for you or for presentation, you can work on each of the slides. You can edit it and say, I don't want this, I don't want that, I can improve on this, put this information on this slide, and it will do that as much as possible. Okay, you can also generate video, you can generate reports, you can also generate table. You can generate a table of, so I click on this table. Let's say we have all these sources. I can click on this table to provide us. Now, in all of these studio, I'm actually, that I click on now, you can see that each of them allows us to provide a prompt So you can provide a prompt that will make that to work to suit what you're actually doing, rather than just clicking on them. You can provide a prompt within the context of those, each of these studio items that we are using. Okay, so you can also go up after you have done all your conversation. You can even say, based on the conversation that we have, provide for me an introduction, okay, to my paper that I want to write or to the research I want to do. It will provide the introduction as much as possible. You can also read through the introduction, edit, and make some analysis as much as possible. Okay, so whatever you also find out from here, whatever you have done here in terms of all the collections that we have here, you can take them back to ChatGPT. You can take them back to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to also improve on the content that you have. So it's a vice versa approach. So whatever I have it now that I download, whatever I have here that I downloaded, maybe I downloaded this source. I can export this source to document. So by the time I export to document, I can go back to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, I have draft. Can you improve on this draft for me, and something like that? So it improve on it. So you can now see that whatever ChatGPT improved for you is validated by you first, based on what you have done in NotebookLM. So thank you very much. I discovered that our time is so we are so limited with time, so we'll have talked about a lot of things and all that. But I just thank everyone for at least we having a kind of clear, a kind of springboard on looking at NotebookLM to do our research, and whatever we do with it, we can actually have a credibility that we have actually looked for sources to work with NotebookLM. So as I make a round close, very quickly, I look at searching strategy. Searching strategy means that how do we look for these sources, all this paper? So if you're using Scopus, Web of Science, there are a lot of improvements in the way they use operator for your starting criteria, which I will, in the course of time, I can post to Dr. Shika or the Dean or a friend of mine, okay, for our notes. Okay, but in Google, we have a list of them like and, or, not, entitled, author that can actually use us to do a lot of advanced session or characterized session as much as possible. But time is not for us to actually look for us, so that we can look at credible sources of our papers and papers that are plagiarized as much as possible. Thank you very much for this time out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olaruwaju. We appreciate your wonderful presentation. Thank you. And I want to use this media to call anyone that wants to ask questions to raise up your hand. We will call upon you to ask question. If you have any question concerning the topic that we have treated, please raise up your hand. Imam, take over.
Okay, thank you so much. It was actually a fantastic presentation and we have learned a lot. I have just a very common question. Sir, you mentioned that this AI generally they use data for training, and based on my little experience with this AI models, they specifically usually mention that they don't use your data to train their models. So I want to know how truthful is this statement, or is it just maybe for us to be free and kind of provide our data for the AI to do whatever it wants to do for us, and at the end of the day they will end up using our data to train their models? Because there is a kind of personalization that you notice with these AI models. As you are using them today, they will continue to improve and be giving you more output based on what you are providing, based on your input, which is the data. So I want to know how truthful is these statements that they are making. Most of them will say they are not using your data to train their models, but how true is that?
Thank you very much, Doctor, for that very wonderful question. Even though because of our time, I want to show my personalization. Now, of a truth, now you can actually set up your ChatGPT or any of the generative AI in the customs or settings and say, don't use my data to train the model. You can actually disable that why you're using that. But I don't think many of us know also that we can disable that. Well, you can actually disable that. But as much as possible, there's no way that we don't have information that are not even, like, let's say on ChatGPT, that when you are using ChatGPT, whenever you are using Google, whenever you are browsing, whenever you are doing anything, whether we like it or not, we are supplying information now and then as much as possible. And these informations at the back end, you don't know what and what those things they are all about. But there's this sure fact that AI is being trained on data, and data are being generated at hyper rates today. Now, somebody can sit on phone within a minute. You don't know that you have generated not less than 1 gig of a data. By the time you send a flyer, you send this, you send that, you talk to a friend on Facebook, you talk to a friend on video, you do that, you have generated enough data for a day. So each and every one of us, we are generating a data daily that we don't even know the amount of data we are generating, let alone data that are coming from oceans, from glaciers, from sensors, and all that. So, but in actual fact, you can set just to be on a disclaimer level. You can disable in your ChatGPT or any of the generative AI to say, don't use my data or don't use my information to train your model. You can actually do that. But we know that of a fact that all of these Gen AI are being trained on data.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I want Professor Ogumbusola to ask a question. I also want to say that let's harvest all the questions so that you answer them at once. We harvest all the questions. So, Professor Ogumbusola, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. There are some questions in the chat box also.
Yes, there are questions in the chat box. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate the lecturer. My question is simple. I am aware of Gemini. Is this same thing with the Gemini notebook, or are they different?
Okay, no, this one is actually different from
from the Gemini. Okay. So then number 2 is this: when you use this Gemini notebook for your research, do you still need to humanize so that you reduce the AI content?
Okay, thank you very much, man. Okay, so what we're actually saying about this NotebookLM is that it's a product of Google. So they are the Gemini generative AI is actually different from Notebook AI. I can actually open to it here. I can open to it here. Google Gemini. So the Gemini is different from Notebook. Okay, so the Gemini is just like ChatGPT that allows us to do our prompting. But the NotebookLM is a kind of, it's a product of Google, which they now call Gemini Notebook. It allows us to create our own source. Now this is the distinction line I'm trying to make up. Now it allows us to provide our own sources for conversation, for the for our brainstorming, for the research. So instead of relying on what they will automatically provide, what they will automatically search for around the world, around the globe, and provide for us, you already provided your own sources for it. That say, these are my own credible sources that I think I've known this paper or this journal for a long time, and I downloaded this paper. You give it to it. Let's work on this paper to do our conversation. That's how Gemini notebook is different from normal Gemini. Normal Gemini is also acting like ChatGPT to do searching across the globe that you don't know. So, okay, now the second question. So the second question is that there's no way we work with any of the Gen AI that we don't need to validate, that we don't need to look at our materials and read and try to embellish it with our own words. Okay, there's no way we can do that as much as possible. There's no way we can do that as much as possible. So, like one of the things that I quickly discovered when I'm reading, so I will show us now. Now, if you copy this prompt, I don't know whether we are seeing it. If you copy this, this secondary resistome, now there's a long hyphen. There's a long hyphen here now. There's a long hyphen. I don't know whether we are seeing my screen. There's a long hyphen here.
Okay.
If you copy this and paste it, in your Word, the long hyphen will be there. But there's no way you do your normal typing by yourself that you will type a long hyphen. It's a short hyphen that is on the keyboard. So those are the things we are talking about. Do you understand, man? So if you see this now, and ChatGPT write for you, ChatGPT will put a long hyphen, will put a lot of things. ChatGPT will write correctly about 3 to 4 sentences for you in a line, and those sentences, 3 to 4 lines, it will be correct. So there's no human being that can write up to 3 to 4 sentences to be correct, to be perfectly correct. So when you now see that you have 3 to 4 lines of sentences in your write-up, you can decide to break those sentences to like short sentence, like break it into 3 by yourself. So by the time you read up and do that, you have actually romanized. So those are the logic.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Dr. Adesua. Dr. Mabel, you can ask your question.
Yes, this is Dr. Mabel Adeosun. My question is just exactly what the previous person asked. So I think it has been answered. I wanted to ask about if the Turnitin will flag our papers when we use AI to write, but I think the answers have been provided. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Tunde, please ask your question. Mr. Tunde, are you there?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my question is very simple, but I think it's similar to what they have been asked. If you have written your manuscript and you want to use either ChatGPT or any of the generative AI to help you fine-tune it, to help you fine-tune your paper. Now, the paper you have written, won't ChatGPT take it as its own document, and when you now do your similarity index check, it will now give you an high figure? Knowing fully well that this was actually prepared humanly before, they're trying to fine-tune it, you now supply your information to ChatGPT. So probably such information can now be used against you now. I need clarification on that, please.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for that also very beautiful question. Now, when you have completed your manuscript and you want to do some validation, just like you want ChatGPT to act as a reviewer for you, which I've also done a couple of times. You can say you want it to be like a Q1 or Q2 reviewer person to review the work and critique the work as much as possible. Now, it will do it perfectly. NotebookLM will also do that for you perfectly and bring out some of the areas that are needed to be improved upon. But one of the things I would say can do is that you don't just ask ChatGPT to write everything for you at a time again or improve on everything. We need to do it session by session, knowing fully well that the manuscript will be introduction, probably literature review, related works, the methodology. Now, those aspects of methodology and results, those are the areas that most frequently or most times you don't even need ChatGPT to do them for us, because already we are the one that we have performed our experiments, and we can actually speak to the results. So the areas where we think we can actually ask ChatGPT to improve our area of introduction and probably the area of literature review. And in terms of the literature review, we have to be very careful to say ChatGPT should give me a reference or put a citation for me. Now, ChatGPT, even if you paid for ChatGPT, I'm saying it categorically, even if you paid for it, it will still have what is called hallucination. Some might be correct, and totally you can have like almost 4 or 5 that are not valid or credible sources at all. So the best approach is when you look at your introduction, you can ask ChatGPT to improve your introduction for you, and when you read back, you also read back to say that introduction is also in tune with where you're actually coming from, and you can actually that I have these sources, use these sources for me to improve my literature review. Now, when it comes to the results, when you have performed your result or you have your result, you can actually speak to your result. And when it comes to result, I have actually discovered sometimes when ChatGPT is speaking to your result, ChatGPT might not speak to the result as as you as a researcher that you are speaking on the result. Most of the times I will always say that as observed, or based on the observation in the result, because I don't want to use possessive word. I will say based on the study observed, or it was observed in the study that the results can correlate, or is this. So by the time you are using those grammar, it's actually being put, you are actually speaking, you are being seen as speaking to your study, to your research based on the result, rather than ChatGPT just giving you some words that are not correlating to you as the person that have actually carried out the research in terms of presenting your result. So those are my little words, but there's no no one word that cut across. It depends on the type of research we actually implement. I don't know whether that answered the question.
No, you didn't answer the second part, sir. The second part is talking about those information. Won't it come up as similarity index
or
similarity check?
No.
Where you now use
no, it won't come up. It won't come up.
Okay.
It won't come up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. I'd like to please ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Well done, sir. You talked about using NotebookLM to create slides. Can you also use it to create journals?
Sorry, you can use it to create journals. Okay, so but you can actually help us to write our journal. That's the area I want us to be very careful as a researcher. We should be very careful of saying some people paid for like as far as 35,000, I know 35,000 plus now for Pro ChatGPT, and they will not use ChatGPT to write the journal from the beginning to the end. I would want us to, as a researcher, yeah.
My second question
so let's
is
use,
that.
Sorry. Let me just land on that. Let's use ChatGPT as a support system. Let it not take our role as a researcher from us as much as possible. And that is what we need to also teach our students. I'm very much on responsible AI. I use AI a lot, but I tell my students we need to still maintain that integrity of we seeing ourselves as researchers as much as possible. So let's see it as a support system. Now, one of the things I also do, like most of the time when I want to write a paper that requires me to use LaTeX, I know LaTeX very well, but because of my time to now start coding LaTeX, I can finish my paper and I'll put up my text and say, okay, ChatGPT, give me this particular session, maybe my introduction, give me the LaTeX format for it. It will quickly give me the LaTeX. I will take the LaTeX back to where I want to run the LaTeX, whether online or on my LaTeX software or my system. Those are the things I can quickly do. So it starts as a support to make me to be much more productive.
Okay, sir.
Thank
so
you.
My second question is that, for instance, if I use AI to create a slide, if maybe someone else uses a prompt on maybe a topic related to that slide, will it use it as an aid, or it will give it like something very similar to my own slide? Like will it use the slide I've done on it as an aid for the person's slide, or it will give it something very similar to the slide I've created?
No. It will always give you different slide. Even if you create a slide now, if you create a slide based on a particular, let's say you have finished your paper, you have finished your manuscript, you now take the whole of the manuscript, just like I did the other time. You now take the whole of the manuscript and give it to ChatGPT to generate for you the slide. Even if you generate the slide like 5 or 6 times, it will not give you the same slide. It will give you different content and different slides. Let alone another person now use that maybe related topic and generate a slide. It will definitely give different slides that are not even the same or correlating.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know whether that answered the question.
It answered the question, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things you can also do. Okay.
Mr. Daniel Adewumi, please ask your question. Emmanuel Adewumi. Are you there?
Maybe it's not there or it's network.
It's no more there.
Okay, it's no more there. Mr. Imam, please help us read the questions that are in the chat so that our guest lecturer will address them.
So we have a few questions in the chat box. The first one is from Ahmed Abubakar Sadiq. He said, how do I come up with a research topic, write a comprehensive thesis with minimal usage of AI? Say, for example, 90% should come from and 10% from AI because I want to avoid AI-generated content. Thank you. That is the question. Then we have another one from Bamidele Ahmed Adeshina. He said, is it a good research practice to write a research paper with AI while avoiding the data to be used? These are the two questions we have in the chat. Then someone asked, can we have the recordings? I said yes, because the meeting is being recorded, so it is going to be shared. So you can go ahead and answer the two questions, sir.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for those questions. So number one says that, can I write my thesis? How do I find the topic that I want to use for my project or for my dissertation or thesis, then write from the beginning to the end, and you want to make AI content to be 10%. I guarantee you as much as possible that research, like we have been taught right from the beginning, is not also different. AI is just supporting us. So the rudiment of research is that whenever you are looking for something to work upon, we need to go back to the existing studies. Before you form a topic, even in real research endeavor, it is not even the introduction or the topic that is the first thing that we must perform, that we must carry out. The first thing in research is even literature review. It's literature review that will make us to know the existing gap, that will enlighten our mind, that will make us to think out of the box, because something critical thinking that will engage us, that will engage our mind. So it is in different aspects of searching the web, searching what has been done, searching different publications. By the time you engage yourself and brainstorm and read, those ideas, by the time you are thinking about 2 or 3 ideas, you can now match 2 or 3 ideas together, just like what we did here now. There's a gap. So we currently lack the rapid point of care diagnostics. Okay? In which you are required to identify a pathogen resistant profile within minutes. Now you read another gap, it gives you another point. From there, you can now say, okay, in our local contents, what and what and what can I match together to form a topic? From there, you'll have actually form a topic. By the time you form a topic, even trying to form a topic now, you have actually reviewed a lot of sources, a lot of existing study. Those existing study, therefore, that you have even reviewed, will now serve as a basis for you to be able to continue the research. So by the time you are doing that and you are writing your work, you are definitely going to be, if you're not saying ChatGPT, write literature review for me, ChatGPT, write this and this for me. If you have actually done your study, it will help you to be able to systematically write your literature review. And by the time you get to your chapter 3 and 4, sorry, by the time you get to your chapter 3, which is your own method you are introducing, there's no way ChatGPT will even any anything will see it as their work, because that is the work you are introducing. And by the time you get to chapter 4, you are bringing up your results from those areas, and then get to chapter 5, you are making conclusions. So it is between your chapter 1 and chapter 2 that you have to be very, very strategic about it. Now it will be very, very funny that when I finish my friend can testify about it, because we are disciplined. When I finish my PhD and we normally submit to the school, and my thesis was put on Turnitin, it shows 4%, because I think we have a leverage of 15% or thereabouts in our school. So my own show 4%. Everybody, the lady in charge looked at it and said, no, I will not give you today, I will give you tomorrow. I don't know what actually happened. Maybe she went back and tested it again and on Turnitin and everything. And at the end of the day, it was 4%. So when it was submitted to my supervisor opened her mouth and say, wow, that That's a lot. So I was even also surprised because when I was doing my own, I was not even thinking about ChatGPT. I was looking at all the credible sources. I was writing, I was making compilation of notes. Though when you look all this compilation of notes, whether you write yourself, things work out as perfectly as possible. So the basis of research, the basis of our thesis, the basis of our work actually started from literature review, not even writing the introduction or even writing the topic. Because at the end of the day, even your supervisor can even change the topic, or something at the course of time can even change the topic as much as possible. So that's my beautiful answer. And the second one, I think I've actually answered the second one, that we should tell ourselves, and also we should convince ourselves. We should also be able to imbibe the caution into our mentees that manuscripts should not be entirely based on generation of AI. It's actually killing the structure of academics today. Now there was this news last week that MIT, we all know MIT, they are being worried about the use of lot of proliferated materials and AI. And today our students cannot even wanting to write a simple sentence or write a simple thing without going back to ChatGPT. Basic rudiment. When you ask them, they will be typing phone or be looking at phone as much as possible. So these are the cultures we must go back to imbibe into our mentees and the students that we take. But if we don't start it ourselves, it's not going to work. So most of the time, I always be telling myself, I will always speak back to myself. I say, Johnson, you have to do this. Do it right before others can do it right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Okay, please ask your question. The last question for this webinar.
Okay, thank you, dear presenter, my dear friend. My question, probably slash comment, will be, I remember when you started speaking on the Gen AIs using ChatGPT as a reference. You were about to, when you click on project, I believe you are about to show us some things, which I believe will be an addition to, instead of depending on sources that we don't know, to brainstorm with those Gen AI. It is possible for us to, using our own sources, our own documents, develop our own projects under this Gen AI. For example, ChatGPT uses GPT, Gemini uses GEMS, and like that. So when we have such personalized, Gen AI, we can be rest assured that to some large extent, the results is going to give us, we reduce hallucination and then give us, credible results. So I believe probably because of lack of time, you are not able to, touch that part. I know that will not be an addition to the Gemini NotebookLM by the time we want to probably fine tune some of what we have done earlier. Thank you.
Okay, that was a comment, not a question. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. All right. I wanted to show just to my personalization in a little way. That's why I was just trying to see my personalization.
Please go ahead.
So, all right. So this is my personalization. I don't know whether you can see my personalization. So my personalization, I actually did my personalization in a very funny way. In terms of language and vocabulary, I said avoid default AI generated phrases, especially in emotional, descriptive, and all that. I went on to say eliminate all forms of fluffs, hyphen, clipping phrasing, and not the but that construction. All this but that construction. I said do not use long dashes, semicolons, or eclipse. I also went on and said, okay, number 3, I said in terms of grammar and structure, I said use traditional English grammar similar to 1990 textbook or Britannica editorial style. Those times we don't have anything that is called AI. Those English that time we are still speaking very, very good English. I say you should refer to those. So those are the way I actually customize you can see the way I customize my own ChatGPT, so that when he wants to generate information for me, at least we do a lot of good conversation, and those English are going to be coming up will be a very good, will be something I can actually rely on. And number 2, you can see that ChatGPT has also improved on what NotebookLM is trying to do by giving us what is called sources. Now you can actually come up here now and start adding your sources. But I prefer, because when you have sources from here, it's actually different from ChatGPT, where you will see it as a notebook. Okay, where you see here that as a notebook, because when you click on each of these notebook, you will see the different sources will still be there. The different sources we use will still be attached with your NotebookLM, especially when you synchronize with your Google Drive, they will still be there. But excuse me. But here you might not be able to keep trend. But why I'm trying to marry them together is that any of the sources that we have credibly worked on here, all the sources that we have credibly worked on here, all the conversation, maybe you have generated introduction, you have generated related work from the conversation here, you can take those conversations to ChatGPT as a source here. As a source, you can keep them as a source and upload it and say expand or expatiate for me or improve for me the introduction. Maybe you have done the introduction and you have saved it and all that. You can actually do that. And you can also, now they are trying to also come up with a library. Maybe you can also try to create your library, but those things are not yet functionally tested, because when you look at their library, it's not as it's going to be giving you all the libraries of work that you have done, because these are all the libraries of work probably I've done on ChatGPT, but it's not going to be giving you like based on each of the research that you're working on with. So I think those are the some of similarities and differences. But what I do is I brainstorm with my NotebookLM. I done all my research. I can take all the things I've written and all that, look at it, read it, and take it back to ChatGPT for improvement. Then after that, I also sit down and read to check for long phrases if there are any, and dashes if there are any, as much as possible. Still, because we will not be valid, we will not be 100% sure whether those things will be done or mistakes will be there as much as possible. Thank you very much. But I don't use ChatGPT to say generate my citation. I don't do that.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Dr. Olariwaju. We appreciate this wonderful lecture that you have delivered. It shows that people followed you. That was why we have a lot of conversation and questions following your lecture. Thank you very much. I also want to appreciate everybody for coming, as we call on Professor Ibama to give us a closing remark. Professor Ibama of Physics Department.
Thank you very much, the anchor person. Thank you, our guest speaker. Thank you, our professors and colleagues. We appreciate the speaker for this lecture that is well delivered. In fact, personally, I learned a lot, and it reminded me of some things that I know before. I want to appreciate you on behalf of the faculty and the university. Also, we want to appreciate our dean, our workaholic dean. We want to appreciate everybody that attend this lecture. And we believe that the knowledge we gain from this will not be in vain. We use it to further our knowledge and to further our studies. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson, Olariwaju Johnson. Thank you very much.
you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.